So imagine how an attacker gets into your system. I'll give you a brief example, but it's a very common pathway. The easiest way to break into a system is to get a user to invite you in. That's why there's so much phishing in evidence right the way across the internet. That's why so many phishing emails are sent out. Or a link from a website or a link in a text message. If you can get a user to click on a link, you've got a shot at downloading something into their machine which can burrow its way in. And that can either be using a flaw in the machine or if the machine isn't configured correctly, you might actually be downloading and running a program as an administrator of that machine. Users should never be administrators. Users should always be ordinary users of their own machines. But that's just the first step, getting into the system. Once you're into the system, in an infrastructure, the next thing you need to do is move around the infrastructure, find a pathway to the good data or the administrative controls. And this process is called pivoting. The way that you pivot is that having gained access to a particular machine, the machine that the user pulled you into, the next thing you do is find out who else has logged onto that machine. And you can just read that out of the machine. And you find Joan from accounting, Bob from sales has logged onto this machine, and then you find another account, and this account is called Brian.admin. And you go, oh, that's interesting. There's an admin account on this machine. And you can then pick up that admin account out of the machine and attempt to log on to other machines with it. And because it's an admin account, there's a good chance that account was used to log on to a server. So now you've got a foothold on a client using phishing. The next thing you do is you find an account for an administrator on that machine and you use that to log onto the server. Now you have a server. From that server, you might find other credentials or more data. You can move to the other servers. And this step-by-step moving around the environment from machine to machine, gathering credentials, gathering data, gathering administrative capability is called pivoting. And it ends when you finally log onto a machine somewhere in the network that a domain administrator has logged onto. And then you have domain admin credentials and you own the entire infrastructure at that point. You can do what you want. So preventing pivoting, preventing an attacker from using that threshold, which they're always going to get. It's generally quite easy to break into a machine. Preventing them from using that threshold and turning it into an attack that encompasses the entire system is a really, really important thing to do. And actually, though very few people do it, there's a relatively simple trick to it. And this is called administrative zoning. And for that, you need role-based authority. And it's one of the reasons why role-based authority is so important. Where administration is concerned, what we need to do is break our administrators into the domain admins, the keys to the entire kingdom, the server administrators who look after the servers that hold all the data, and the client administrators who look after the end machines, the endpoints, look after the users. Once you have role-based authority, even that very basic breakdown, because you can do a lot more and create a lot more strength, but just that basic breakdown of 3 different authorities allows you to configure your systems so that client administrators can only log on to clients, server administrators only ever log on to normal servers, and the domain admins, those real keys of the kingdom, only log on to domain controllers, which are the identity and authority servers for the infrastructure. If you do that, then the attacker gains a threshold on a client, and they look inside the client and they go, oh, look, there's an admin account. But that admin account leads them to other clients. It doesn't lead them anywhere else, because server admins never log on to clients. So the server admin accounts don't exist on those clients. They can't be lifted and abused. Same thing with the servers. If someone does manage to get a foothold onto one of the servers and they look into the server and they go, oh, here's some more admin accounts, if you've got administrative zoning in place and you've separated out who logs on where, then those server admins don't have the power to log on to the domain controllers, the security controllers for the infrastructure. As a result, you put boundaries. When you zone like this, you put boundaries in place between the different levels of administration and the levels of harm that can be caused if they are compromised.